If you're a huge fan of HTC's hardware, but maybe not so much their software, this is the version of the HTC One M8 that's for you. This is the Google Play Edition. If you're considering the Google Play Edition of the HTC One M8, just keep in mind that it does run $699 through the Google Play Store. The developer and unlocked editions, I believe, will also be $699 shortly, though they were promotionally priced at $649 at launch. So $699 is about $100 more than you'll pay for full retail at, say, Verizon. So I picked up a Verizon model in store and it was $599. So you're paying essentially $100 to either get stock Android or have an unlocked bootloader or an unlocked version that will work on multiple carriers. So just keep that in mind. With that said, let's take a look quickly at the boxes before we jump in and talk about the device. So I just so happen to have the developer edition right next to it in gold or amber gold, and then obviously the Google Play is in silver. So in terms of packaging, you see there's a Google logo up top right corner of the Google Play edition. And then on the bottom down here, I'll actually show you closer, the developer edition, which runs HTC Sense still, says HTC Boom Sound and Motion Launch and Blink Feed and Duo Camera, whereas the Google Play box has nothing down there. Though we're going to check out the Duo Camera and see how it works, and see if it's running HTC's camera software, if it's using Duo Camera, how that whole thing is going to play out. And then of course the actual screens on each device. On the developer edition you have Blink Feed and Sense, and then on the Google Play edition you have stock Android. For those not familiar with Google Play editions, the big deal here is you get stock Android with hardware that you may have been lusting over but didn't necessarily want the OEM skin that came with it. So you got stock Android. You also get updates quite frequently. So when Google releases a new version of Android, you should get it pretty quickly, quicker than the skinned version of the same device might. So in terms of the rest of the box, you have the same specs on the back here. So 2.3 gigahertz quad-core Snapdragon 801, 2 gig of RAM, 32 gigs of storage, the same 4 ultra-pixel camera on the back with the Duo depth sensor, 5 megapixel front camera, and the same 5-inch 1080p display. Boom sound, all that good stuff. Well, at least boom sound speakers, though the box, I know, doesn't say boom sound. So let's open it up quickly, then boot it up and show you what we're working with. So one thing to note, HTC Advantage is a part of the Google Play Edition, which it says right there. So if you drop it and crack the display within the first 6 months, HTC will replace it for free. They also guarantee updates for 2 years, but since the updates work a little bit differently, that's sort of a given. All right, so device, set that there to see if there's anything else in the box. There's your nano SIM tool, so it does carry nano SIMs, not micro SIMs. You do get some headphones or earbuds, USB cable, and a power adapter. So nothing's really changed there in terms of goodies in the box. So here is the device. Let me unwrap the plastic here. Okay. So plastic aside, so the Google Play Edition is in silver with white accents. The other versions are amber gold, which we have in the developer box. We'll get to later on, probably another video. And then there's also the gunmetal gray, which my Verizon version is. So silver, gunmetal gray, see the difference. The silver really just reminds me of last year's one, and it's actually quite beautiful, especially with those white accents. So there's your Duo camera up there with the dual LED flash. No branding whatsoever, so no Verizon, no LTE, no AT&T, no Beats, none of that. Just says HTC here, and then you have a plain device. So on the bottom, you notice there the headphone jack's there, but also has a little white ring around it. There's your micro USB port. Up top is your IR blaster and your power lock switch over here, same spot as usual. On this side is your micro SIM tray. And if we flip it over, there is your volume rocker and your micro SD slot. So it does have a micro SD slot, though stock Android doesn't necessarily handle stock Android doesn't necessarily handle micro SD cards so well. So we'll see how that works out. And then on the front, again, you have your dual boom sound speakers, your 5 megapixel camera, 5-inch 1080p display, and on-screen buttons. So let's fire it up. Hopefully there's enough juice so we can at least show you a couple of things, like maybe the camera. So boot animation obviously going to be different, run stock Android, so it does say Google, not HTC, and no carriers involved, so there won't be a carrier boot up there. And there is what's essentially become Google's new Android, stock Android boot animation. So you're seeing that on Nexus devices now. It initially launched with the first Google Play Edition devices that came out last year, so the HTC One and the Galaxy S4, but it's now sort of just standard. Nexus 5 has it. Nexus 10 has it. So we'll let that boot up and see what happens. I will say though, this silver version does look really nice. You know, I've had the gunmetal version since launch, but this does look really nice. I like the little light white accents here and there. You can see there's a little white accent running around the whole device, actually, the whole front side there. You know, it really is a nice device, and I've talked about how it just feels ultra premium. No other phone really feels this well made, that sort of unibody metal design. It is really nice. It's just a little big and a little tall. Definitely have to do the shimmy to get up there. So, okay, phone, feel free to boot. I know it's the first boot, but, and while it's doing that, here's another comparison to the gunmetal. So gunmetal is filled with dark accents, whereas again, the silver version has white. So it's just a little bit different look. Oh, there we go. We're booted. So let's just go ahead and skip everything. Skip. Yeah, skip. And yeah, that's fine. And sure, that's fine. And Google Services, yes. All right, we are in. So we'll just okay everything. And there you go. There is stock Android running on the HTC One M8. So if we swipe this down and go into settings, scroll. Oh, that's already seeing stuff that we like. So Android 4.4.2, HTC One _M8. You also notice the buttons look a little bit different, the on-screen buttons. So I'll show you here. So if we pull up the regular, let's put that on. So you can see just the skin of the buttons, on-screen buttons is different there. Different home style. So HTC kind of went with their style of buttons, and there's the stock version. All right, so if we sort of scroll up through here, I saw a couple of things, at least one thing I really liked. So motion launch gestures. So double tap to wake, swipe to unlock, and volume buttons to launch camera. So even though this is Google Play Edition and it's stock Android, they are including those motion launch gestures, which you know, with the screen off, you can double tap to wake it, and you can swipe to unlock and things like that. So let me just test that real quick. So if we're holding it up, we should be able to double tap, and it does awake. And if we swipe that way, it should unlock, and sure enough, it does. And then if we go landscape here, press the volume, it should launch the camera, and it does. So very cool there. If you jump into the app drawer, obviously you've got stock Android, and this looks like the Google Now launcher. Maybe not the Google Now launcher. It could actually, I believe that it is. I just don't have Google Now turned on because I haven't logged in. Looking for anything else that's new that wouldn't normally be in stock. There's sound display, battery, tap and pay. That's all good. So does have motion launch gestures, which is very interesting. Let's go back into that camera though and talk camera for a second. So you do not have settings for any of the duo camera stuff from what I can tell. But let's actually just take a picture of something and see what happens. Now this is going to take some further testing, but so we can take a picture there, and it's obviously fast. Turn HDR on. Pretty fast. Let's turn that back off. So if we jump into any of these other settings, yeah, so we're not seeing any of, obviously any of the camera stuff you would get with HTC, and that was sort of a given. We were just wondering how it was going to work with the duo camera. Let's see if we cover up the duo camera. So on the HTC One, if you cover up the duo camera, you get an error. It's not doing anything there. So we'll have to look into that further to see sort of what's going on there. But as of right now, at least it has motion launch gestures. That's kind of cool. So you can double tap to wake, double tap to go back to sleep. Oh, it doesn't like that one, but at least we'll wake it. So that's just been a quick look. We'll obviously dive in more and see if there's anything else different there, especially like how it handles SD cards and how the camera is going to work with that duo sensor setup. So anyways, just been a quick look at the Google Play Edition HTC One M8. If there's anything in particular you guys want us to test, be sure to drop that in the comments. For now, we're Droid Life. Peace.